what's happening is we're constantly getting these little dopamine bursts throughout the day, and we're training ourselves. We're like Pavlov's dogs,
Yeah.
we're like lab rats that are getting this constant stimulation.
It's not something I think that we usually think about. Like, we think about the addiction of social media and texting and waiting for that phone call, looking at our email all day long and trying to figure out, and I don't understand really what it is. I've tried to think through this, and I think for myself, as I find myself constantly looking at my phone, I think is that people need to feel needed.
Well, I can help you on this.
Yeah. Yes. Let's talk about this.
Give you and your listeners some insight here.
Yeah.
I've been very interested. I've read a lot of books over the years on neuroscience, and in regard to media and entertainment. And to me, it's very intriguing. One of the things that's very clear is that there's the pleasure center of your brain, the nucleus accumbens, and it produces dopamine. Mm-hmm. There are certain things that give you dopamine bursts. And so, for example, at a resting state, we'll call it 0, and then you eat a piece of chocolate cake. And if you like chocolate cake, it'll actually increase your dopamine to 50%. And I'm going to use an example because it's important. So they, in the studies they've shown, so let's just say marital intimacy brings up the dopamine levels 100%. And this is, God has designed this. So, but whether it's eating a piece of cake or it's marital intimacy, these things are regulated on time. And whereas there's other things like playing video games, they found that video games spikes the dopamine levels 100% and then continues to maintain those levels. Yeah. And so you can see how damaging this could be, because then the body's trying to figure out like what's going on. Something's not right, alert, so this is the same process that happens with drug users, is that they're, using chemicals to cause dopamine bursts. And then they get the down and they feel depressed and they want to get that dopamine back up. Mm-hmm. And so the body's constantly trying to adjust to these new levels. And that's why a drug user has to use more and more. Now, when it comes to things like checking notifications and like what's going on there, well, what they've found is that when a notification goes off on your phone, or the little ding goes off on your email notification on your computer, actually you get a little shot of dopamine. It's like, because there's something you're anticipating.
Right.
And you don't know, is it good news?
Right.
Is it bad news? Maybe you were waiting for good news. Maybe you were anticipating bad news. Maybe you don't know what it is. It could be anything. I could have, maybe someone in Africa has some prince has died and left me $5 million if I'll
it happens
give my mother's maiden name and my social security number. So we have these. But what's happening is we're constantly getting these little dopamine bursts throughout the day, and we're training ourselves. We're like Pavlov's dogs, we're like lab rats that are getting this constant stimulation. And so this is why you anticipate it, because it's just a little burst of dopamine. It's just it's not natural. It's very unnatural.